Welcome back to another episode of Decentralized Application Development Crashcasts. I'm Sheila, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Victor. Before we dive in, I just want to remind our listeners that if you're enjoying the show, please rate us on your podcast platform of choice. Your support means the world to us.
Thanks, Sheila. And hello, everyone. Today we're continuing our journey through Chapter 1, Understanding Decentralization. We've already covered what decentralization is, its key characteristics, and the different types. Now we're going to explore the fascinating history and evolution of decentralized systems.
That sounds exciting, Victor. But before we jump in, I've got a quiz question for our listeners. Here it is. What was the first decentralized computer network that laid the foundation for the modern internet? Take a moment to think about it, and we'll reveal the answer at the end of the episode.
Ooh, that's a great question, Sheila. It really makes you think about how far we've come in terms of networking technology. I'm sure our listeners will be racking their brains trying to remember their tech history. Without giving away any hints, I can say that the answer to this question played a crucial role in shaping the internet as we know it today.
Absolutely, Victor. Now, to help our listeners follow along, could you start by explaining what we mean by decentralized systems in the context of computer networks?
Of course, Sheila. In the context of computer networks, a decentralized system is one where multiple computers or nodes work together to perform tasks, share resources, and make decisions without relying on a single central authority. This is in contrast to centralized systems, where all control and decision-making are concentrated in one place.
That's a great explanation, Victor. So, how did the concept of decentralized systems first come about in computing?
Well, Sheila, the story begins in the late 1960s with a project called ARPANET. ARPANET was developed by the US Department of Defense as a way to create a communication network that could survive a nuclear attack. The idea was to have multiple connected nodes, so if one part of the network was destroyed, the rest could still function.
That's fascinating. So, ARPANET was designed to be resilient by being decentralized. How did this early network influence the development of the internet as we know it today?
Great question, Sheila. ARPANET laid the groundwork for many of the protocols and technologies we use in modern internet communication. For example, it introduced the concept of packet switching, which is still fundamental to how data is transmitted over the internet today. As ARPANET evolved, it eventually gave birth to the TCP/IP protocol suite, which is the backbone of internet communications.
I see. So, from ARPANET, how did decentralized systems continue to evolve?
Well, the next big leap came in the late 1990s and early 2000s with the rise of peer-to-peer, P2P networks. The most famous early example was probably Napster, which allowed users to share music files directly with each other without going through a central server.
Oh, I remember Napster. It was quite controversial at the time, wasn't it?
Absolutely, Sheila. Napster's impact on the music industry was enormous. It demonstrated both the power and the potential challenges of decentralized systems. While it revolutionized file sharing, it also raised significant legal and ethical questions about copyright infringement.
That's a great point, Victor. It really shows how decentralized systems can disrupt established industries and norms. What came after Napster?
After Napster, we saw the development of more sophisticated P2P protocols like BitTorrent, which improved upon the concept by introducing distributed file sharing across multiple peers. This made file sharing even more resilient and efficient.
Interesting. So, we've gone from ARPANET to P2P file sharing. What's the next big milestone in the evolution of decentralized systems?
The next revolutionary step came with the introduction of blockchain technology, most famously implemented in Bitcoin in 2009. Blockchain took the concept of decentralization to a whole new level by creating a distributed ledger that could record transactions without the need for a central authority.
That's fascinating, Victor. Can you explain a bit more about how blockchain differs from earlier decentralized systems?
Certainly, Sheila. While earlier P2P systems were mainly focused on file sharing, blockchain introduced the concept of decentralized consensus. This means that all nodes in the network can agree on the state of the system without trusting any single entity. This opened up possibilities for decentralized applications, DApps, that go far beyond simple file sharing.
I see. So, where are we now in the evolution of decentralized systems?
Currently, we're seeing an explosion of innovation in the realm of decentralized applications, or DApps. These are applications that run on a P2P network of computers rather than a single computer. They're being used for everything from finance, DeFi, to social media, and even gaming. The goal is to create platforms that are resistant to censorship, downtime, and central points of failure.
Wow, it's amazing to see how far we've come from the early days of ARPANET. Before we wrap up, do you have any interesting anecdotes or fun facts about the history of decentralized systems?
Actually, I do. Here's a fun fact. When ARPANET was first demonstrated in 1969, they attempted to log in to a computer at Stanford from UCLA. They meant to type login, but the system crashed after they typed LO. So the first message ever sent over the predecessor to the internet was LO, as in lo and behold.
That's hilarious, Victor. It just goes to show that even groundbreaking technologies can have humble beginnings. Now, let's get back to our quiz question. The answer is ARPANET. It was indeed the first decentralized computer network that laid the foundation for the modern internet.
Exactly, Sheila. And to help our listeners remember this, they can think of ARPANET as the granddaddy of the internet. Just like how grandparents often lay the foundation for families, ARPANET laid the foundation for our modern, decentralized internet.
That's a great way to remember it, Victor. To summarize today's episode, we've traced the evolution of decentralized systems from ARPANET in the late 1960s through the P2P revolution with Napster and BitTorrent in the early 2000s, to the blockchain revolution starting with Bitcoin in 2009, and finally to the current explosion of decentralized applications. Each step has built upon the last, creating increasingly sophisticated and powerful decentralized systems.
Absolutely, Sheila. And as we continue to explore decentralized application development in this podcast, we'll see how all of this history informs the cutting-edge work being done today.
Thank you, Victor, for this fascinating journey through the history of decentralized systems. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to rate us on your podcast platform. You can also visit crashcasts.com to join our Discord community or support us on Patreon. Until next time, keep learning and stay decentralized.